Welcome to the Shots of Success podcast. What we call a solo shots podcast. All right. Yeah, I like to have guests, but at 12:40 when you're in quarantine, kind of hard to make that happen. So, all right, controversial topics. It's kind of late. That's why I'm talking a little quiet. Controversial topics is what I like to. Is generally what I like to cover, but especially on that solo shots. Now, I didn't have any shots. I've only drank once this week, but I did schmeck a little bit, so keep up with me. Alright, so we've gone through so many of these different topics, like me alone. I did one, like an audio only. And that one, I just was like reading controversial topics and giving opinions. When D was here last week, that's what we also did. We talked about a few different things. We talked about affirmative action, stuff like that. Got her opinions on different shit. Okay, going through different things. Alcohol advertising. I didn't realize that was a controversial topic. Oh, I guess because like, they don't want you to advertise to kids, maybe. I mean, I can understand that, but the problem is I feel like the more you try to fight against different things like alcohol advertising or anything where you feel like it has a negative idea, anytime you try to fight against that, I think it always gets like the opposite effect. Like if your parents say, "Oh, don't talk to them. They're bad news. Don't talk to them." That's like the person that you really want to talk to. Like I had that happen to me before, where a girl's mom was like, "Don't date him," blah blah blah, and they like hated me, and it made her like me a lot more. So I think when you go against things and you push like that, generally it's going to get you the opposite results, you know, because people want to prove you wrong or like go against somebody saying something like that. Now alcohol advertising, yeah, I mean. The thing about all advertising is it always makes everything way better than it really is. Alcohol advertising, they're like, you know, having a great party or something like that. And, you know, there's just different things happening that you probably wouldn't really be in that situation if you was drinking, you know. Usually you're drinking and like watching movies or drinking and playing the video game. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. I like drinking. I feel like the problem is that anything is funner when you're drinking also. But it's not on that level. Well, maybe. I guess it just depends. I think the best alcohol advertising, since it's been like the number one selling thing since forever, even when it was illegal, is that it is fun. It makes everything more fun. It makes you like more confident. I mean, I'm just saying, even people who, if you can't drink alcohol because you have whatever thing wrong with you, even then people still drink because it's fun. And I mean, a lot of people like in my family, like if you do drink, everybody feels bad for you, right? Like if you're like a drunk person, everybody makes fun of you or says whatever stuff and like looks down. But people who drink are usually like having the best time. They're super relaxed. They're always having fun, even if you see somebody who's really drunk and you kind of feel bad for them, like an uncle character or something like that. When you see them and like people say negative things and you feel bad for them, I can understand it in that sense, but people don't understand those people are usually having the best time out of everybody. One time, and you guys have seen this guest, his name is Uncle Tony. One time we were like in Ohio, which is where they're from. We were in Ohio, and he was like dancing on top of a vehicle, drunk. And my aunt, like his sister, she was like, "Oh my God, get him down!" And she was all upset about it, right? But I was laughing. I was like, "Man, he's having a better time than I've ever had in any fun situation." And we're just at a gas station, you know, so that kind of puts it in context. It's always like that too. Or like if you get real drunk and you're the only one, you pass out everybody's making fun of you, but you get like the best sleep ever. Um, Alcohol advertising. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they should advertise to like middle school kids and stuff and be like, drinking's fun. Even though in like other countries, like say Russia or something like that, they drink from the time that they're kids. I think that the real mistake and the reason why there's so many weak people is because we're always trying to get sheltered from things. We're always trying to shelter the kids from things, you know? And I think that that's really the mistake. It's because you can't shelter it. They'll just be unprepared when they are in the situation, you know? I don't know. I can understand why it would be controversial depending on it, but if it's like adults having a fun time, that's just reality. And they got to spice it up a little bit because it's TV, you know? They don't want to just show a guy having the best experience eating pizza and watching movies, you know? They want to spice it up. All right, alternative medicine. So alternative medicine, I guess that's like weed and what? I guess anything that's not FDA maybe approved. Alternative medicine. Yeah, I mean I like that. I think with anything there's like multiple parts to it. So you can do alternative medicine and that'll help you, but what you eat matters. If you work out, that matters. Your mentality matters. You can work out and eat and have like a shitty attitude, which I think it's probably pretty difficult to do those. What you'll notice is if somebody has a bad attitude, what they'll do is they'll be on a diet and they'll be like, "Oh man, fucking broccoli, this is bullshit. Oh, I want to get some tacos." And the problem with thinking like that is you don't have a positive perspective and you're not going to just stay miserable for, the rest of your life. You got to get excited about it and get into it. And I think the alternative medicine is good. I think that there's certain medicines that are good and can help people, but I think a lot of times the medicine it has so many side effects. Um, you know, when you take a pill and it's like, oh, this is if you have dry skin, this pill helps the dry skin, right? But you're gonna get there's a good some people they probably just get their dry skin taken care of and they don't have problems. But there's a good chance you're gonna get like diarrhea, maybe be lightheaded, confused, pooping your pants, falling, slight chance of death. It just doesn't seem like that doesn't seem like the ideal situation. So alternative like maybe some lotions or some organic oil or something like that. A lot of times, like if you see somebody who when they cut carbs, it helps with stuff like that. And carbs do include vegetables, so you got to straight carnivore that shit, become like an animal. Now, alternative medicines, that would be, I think the biggest alternative medicine would be diet, because the problem that we have here is like heart problems and diabetes. Both of those are food related illnesses. So a big alternative medicine would be not to fuck with anything that has sugar or was processed. I think doing something like just doing that would probably add time to your life and the quality of your life if it didn't add like time. So I think that's alternative medicine. I think smoking is a good idea because it kind of opens your mind up, and that's a good medicine because psychology, that matters, and you kind of process things differently when you take alternative medicine like smoking weed or doing other stuff like that. you know it's it's good medicine for you mentally, or it can be. I think just like anything else, it can be abused and then become negative because if it's already served its purpose and you're still smoking a lot and stuff like that and just abusing it, that could probably put you in like maybe a depressed place also. Maybe it continues to shape your perspective in a sense the more that you smoke or more that you do anything, and there's like a good area and then maybe there's a place past that, and I think that's different person to person. Alright, let's scroll through. There's a lot of topics. Christmas in the public square, which I think means like us as Americans all displaying Christmas stuff and liking Christmas stuff. Christmas is probably my favorite holiday. I think it's the only one that I I guess not participate. We do like Thanksgiving stuff and Christmas stuff. I think Christmas is cool. I like Christmas movies. I like the goofy Christmas songs and stuff like that. And uh, I like the time of it where it's like fun. Now, I mean, I can think of like one side that I don't like about it. I guess the history on it is a little where it becomes whatever, bringing a tree into your house, blah, blah, blah. It depends on if you're talking to like a religious person, what they'll say. But ironically enough, a lot of like Christian people and stuff like that like Christmas also. I think it's evolved from that time to be something else now, especially to us. A time where you can like cook food with family and you give people gifts and stuff like that, and you get cool gifts. I think the whole idea of it is pretty cool. So I think Christmas in the public square, I don't think that should be controversial. I think you're an asshole if you think it's controversial. But I think because it's probably because like Kwanzaa or what's the Jewish Hanukkah, like those holidays aren't magnified on the same scale. But I think it's not because somebody's against those holidays. It's just there's way more people that celebrate Christmas and don't really, aren't really religious like that. All right, let's move on because I love Christmas. Drug testing in school? That's interesting. I wonder if they mean, like when they say schools, like I wonder how old they mean. Like middle school? Maybe like fourth grade, you know? What kind of drugs are they testing for? The real question is, what do they do when it comes back and it's like some crazy shit? Drug testing in school. Yeah, I think they should do that. Like if you wanna get a job, like if you make the basketball team in middle school, they should drug test you for steroids. Be like, this motherfucker's really 35. All right. Eugenics. I don't even know what that means. Flag burning. I mean, I'm against that. You shouldn't do that for your own country. Or it's disrespectful to do it to somebody else's country also, but especially your own. Hmm. Let's see. Genetically modified food. I think that falls in the same. I was saying that falls in the same category as the medicine. Genetically modified food, meaning food that they make with chemicals. And that shit is delicious though, but it's not good for you long term. I think that it's good to have balance though. Maybe eat something that's junk. Have a week where you're real strict. Eat a little. Some people have like a cheat day. For me, that shit just goes off the rail though. You know, one slice of French toast, and the next thing I know, I'm eating a fucking that KFC sandwich where it was like two donuts and a piece of chicken in the middle. Or no, with the one where it's like the bread was two pieces of chicken, and then in the middle it was like cheese and bacon. That's funny. Yeah, so I'm just saying it goes downhill quick, but that's also another thing where you can like work on your self control. So there's positive in that also. Gambling, I think gambling's pretty cool. I think it makes everything more interesting. I think that to be successful, you have to gamble on yourself. You can't not take a risk and be successful. I think people want to play it safe and have money, and it's like you can't do both. I mean, and you can do both, meaning play it safe, be quiet, and go to work. Sure, but that has a cap on it. It's limited. People who aren't limited, they have to take risks. They have to present ideas that maybe the idea will suck, and it takes some courage to present that idea. It's a gamble. What if they don't like it? What if it makes them feel different about you? But it's like you got to take that chance, and then maybe they'll respect you as, even if that guy's not right, he's still gonna try, you know. Or maybe you ask and it's fucked up, but that gives you the direction to what you know were looking for, and it helps you improve. You gotta keep the same enthusiasm as you go from one setback to the other, you know. If anything, they can actually push you forward and they can shape your thoughts. But what I see a lot of times is it just makes people, it just makes them negative, you know. I was talking to a friend of mine and they were going through like a super intense, you know, terrible situation. And I said to them that I believe that there's positive in everything. Like this situation itself might not be positive, but it could bring positive elements to you, you know. It could bring, you know, you closer to certain people, or it can make you take things serious. And I think that that's positive. If you went through a terrible situation, but it made you take your health more serious and you lost weight and you developed as a person, that's a positive. And I think that it says this in Think and Grow Rich. It says the seed of an equal or greater positive is in every negative. And when you look at it like that, it's like no matter how bad a situation is, you see, well, something positive is going to come from this. I'm going to grow in some way from this. Internet pornography. That doesn't seem that controversial to me. Now, internet pornography. I'm on Twitter, and people are like, "Hey, I quit pornography. I quit it, man." It's like you quit you quit watching pornography. I said to one guy, he's like, "I quit watching pornography. It's the best year of my life." And I said to him, "What about like what did it do? What was the positive? What happened?" And he's like, "If you have to ask, man, I don't know what to tell you." So that seems like an asshole answer. You know? Why not try to help me out so I can understand? I want to have the best year of my life without watching pornography. Now, people say that it fucks with your expectations. Like, hey, real women don't look like this. I'm like, well, they're real women. They just care more, you know? They seem to want success more. But I'm like, okay, I guess I can understand that. But what if you watch just average ones? What if you watch a lot of home videos? That's all I'm saying. I'm watching a lot of home videos with low expectations. See? Win. My expectations are low. They're performing poorly, but they're naked and realistic. So I guess if you watch that on and people say like, oh, regular girls won't do all that stuff. That's a lie. See, people's just setting those low expectations and those limits on themselves, and want everybody else to do the same thing. That's what I think is the problem. I think that might be controversial. Stop imposing your low standards on everyone else. Stop hating people with high standards. Stop thinking that you got to keep everybody low so you don't feel bad. I think that's really what it is. Legalization of drugs. I like that. I think that too much taxpayer money is used to pursue drugs, and I mean, generally drugs are harmless. If it's some heroin-y stuff like that, I think even that should be legal, because making it illegal adds to the danger of the people around, like, you know, poor people that might be in an area where people are using stuff, or maybe in an area where they're doing drugs and like the person isn't a part of it. But say if it's illegal, there's a lot of other things that are added to the dynamic, like you know, just just crime in general. So I think that no, I think it should be. I think there shouldn't be any laws on drugs, like as far as these drugs are illegal. Now, I think maybe there should be maybe some differences on legalization of prescription drugs and certain things like that, because those are a lot of times worse, but they're socially acceptable to an extent, and they cost more, and they just make people feel better. I think if they only do that, and I think a lot of those drugs I was talking about, the side effects, those aren't taken into consideration. But I think there should be no such thing as like a legal street drug. Just because I think that the fight itself causes more problems than the actual problem that it's supposed to be solving, as they is often the case when there's an issue and a law gets passed to fix it. Generally, the problem, like lockdown stuff, like lockdowns, the problems that it's creating are worse than people being a little sick. Arguably a little sick. I guess it's different person to person, and there's elderly people who have died and people who are really fat and stuff like that who have died, and you know, I understand. I think that happens every year though with flus and different illnesses. It's just hard for you to fight it if you're in poor health. But either way, you don't want to put people in bad situations. But what I'm saying with the policy is it's a balance. Nothing is 100% good. There's no job, no person, no nothing that is 100% good. Everything has some kind of downside or negative, or maybe you wouldn't go that far to say it was like a downside or a negative, but maybe it took away from them a little bit. Everything has that. And with the laws, you got to find that balance. Maybe if it's like 70-30, you can deal with the 30 that's downside because it has such a positive upside. But what they want to do is the opposite, where it's 70% bad and 30% good, and they go, well, what about this 30%, blah, blah, blah. And that's how they force it on people. They guilt trip you into accepting the 30%. But that's all part of the whole limited thinking and stuff like that. Let's see, partial birth abortion. We're against abortion just as a whole, but that's horrible. At least earlier in it you can kind of you can kind of look at it and go, okay, and not really, because like I think from the moment there's something there, and you don't want to go against that. But I think like earlier you can kind of be like, well, but partial, that's like 20 weeks or after. So he's almost like a fully developed baby, or at least halfway. That's the legal thing in Maryland. Racial profiling, that's an interesting one. Reverse discrimination. Yeah, I think it's not okay to be the person that you're supposed to be against. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be mad at people because of because of you think they're racist, so you become racist against them for it. We don't want to. It's bad when anybody puts anything directly as the reason is for race. Whether you think someone else is bad because of race, or you think you're great because you're race. Either way, I think it's bad. And I'm mixed, and I've always had like a complex about race stuff. And my cousin, he was here, and he is the same way, but never got past it. So it's like everything is, hey, you white person, or hey, blah, blah, blah. So, and sometimes people are like that, but they don't realize that they're being just like what they're supposed to be against. And I think that's always a bad idea. But what I'm saying is across the board, it should be the same. Nobody should be treated special because of their race. Nobody should be treated bad because of their race. It's all individual. It should come all down to, personal decisions and having opportunities, and not it being falsely elevated or intentionally put down because of your race. The problem has been through history is the laws themselves. It's the laws that have been forcing people to be in certain situations like discrimination or Jim Crow stuff or slavery or anything that you can think of that's like a racial issue. Those were all laws that were passed at the time. Where we're at now is there isn't any laws. If a person has a personal issue with you or with a race in general, they're an asshole, but there's no law that can stop you from earning your full potential and developing and growing. And that's what I think. I think as long as the government or there's no state laws or anything like that that specifically stop you from being able to achieve, then that's what matters, not the personal opinions of individual assholes. Spanking, physical punishment. Yeah, I think physical punishment is a good idea because it's a good teacher, and you don't want your kids to be just out here not realizing that there's consequences for decisions. You know, transracial adoption. I've never heard that term. Transracial. We have to look that up.